Greetings and good evening to Miss Angela. My name is Putino Batusha, along with my group members, Priscilla Roy Peter, Nur Aisha Bahira, Farah Izan, and Amira Fakiha. We'll be presenting on our research about code switching of English and Bahasa Melayu among Malaysian university students in an English contextual classroom. So this research consists of our introduction and literature review, methodology, data analysis that we have collected, and conclusion. Moving on to this slide. So code switching is described as combining terms of or phrases from two languages together in a single communication event. So the reason why we chose this topic is to study the occurrence and the main factors behind code switching among students in a contextual classroom uh, in universities in Malaysia. So some of the factors behind this occurrence is due to the fact that bilingual education system and patterns is utilized in multilingual communication in Malaysian community where speakers usually speaks more than one language. So the other reason might be for the ease of communicating in their mother tongue over English to avoid miscommunication, misinformation, and unfamiliarity with English, some English phrases. Um, and the other might be the code switching also to be found as an effective approach adopted by both students and teachers in classroom interaction to make their intended meaning apparent. And English also has been incorporated in every level of the syllabus, be it primary schools, secondary schools, or even higher level of education in Malaysia. So the aim of this study is to find out how code switching can potentially affect students, whether it is helpful or not, and to identify if this practice helps the students in their classroom. So I will be passing to our next presenter, Priscilla Roy Peter.
Right, a very warm wishes, madam. My name is Priscilla Roy, and I'll be explaining about the literature review on our research. So, the research may sound familiar for many and also new to some, but definitely, as a matter of fact, worldwidely, this topic is not new because various studies has been demonstrated that the term of code switching in classroom is definitely a necessary and also it's a concrete happening in every language classroom. There were many researches have been done to show that a classroom is really hard to find where the lecturer or the educator or the students uses only single language in a classroom. So for example, I'd like to quote a few researchers done by Arthur Martin, Flavio Miller, and also Mustafa and Al-Khatib. So all these articles, they quoted that in a language integrated learning setting or a language-based classroom, the usage of other languages by the speakers are really common. The speakers, as in the students or the educator themselves, uses both might be their native language or another language which they are learning the base language for the classroom. So it's really common and usual for the students or lecturers to use both language in a classroom. And Milroy and Mizukin have also quoted this scenario as a term called translanguaging. So where they use two languages or more in order to learn a base language in a classroom. So it goes beyond code switching as bilingual people who uses more than two languages in their daily life use these languages based on their prestige, appropriateness, and preferences or any other factors. For example, they use Bahasa Melayu in an English-based classroom for their further understanding. And bilingual students also from various language backgrounds, not necessarily Bahasa Melayu, were found to function much better where their cognitive level has been increased compared to a monolingual student who learn only using one language in a classroom. This was quoted by Potters in his article. And also I would like to quote a research which is has a very similar contents to our research where we can definitely contrast, which was done by Nichols and Colon, where the research were done in Spain among the Spanish students who learn English. So in their classroom, the research is that the respondents explains on how Spanish language affects their English-based classroom. So the lecturers or the educator in the university and also the students uses Spanish language in the midst of English classroom, where they also have justified that they learn much better in English when they use Spanish languages or certain phrases in order for the educator to explain certain terms in English. And also, finally, there is also another reason for code switching to occur in a classroom, which is for the lecturer or the educator to build a good rapport or also relationship with the students, where, it is also a term we call as socializing functions, where the teachers speak in their native most probably, or also a common language among the students, so that they can communicate in a more friendlier way, so that they would get attached to them, attached as in they could understand their cognitive level during the classroom. So that's all about the articles and also the literature review about our research. And moving on to the next presenter.
Good evening, madam. My name is Nur Aisha Bahira, and I'll be explaining on about the methodology. So for my part, I'll be explaining on how we collected the data and what methods were used to obtain all of the information for this research. So we use convenience sampling to collect the data. Convenience sampling is a non-probability sampling where we obtain information from random people that are near to us, for example, family or friends or mutual friends. So since our target for this research is to study the perspectives of Malaysian students about the code switching among English and Malay language in the English-based classroom, we mostly gathered the data from our closest friends and family members who are still studying in the university. So moving on for the methods used to gather the data on information for this paper, we use mixed method, which are the qualitative and quantitative approach methods. So for the quantitative research data, sorry. So for quantitative research, it is the data that are numerical, and this method approach is actually helps us to discover the factors that can potentially affect the code switching in the English-based classroom. So for this method, we chose to conduct a survey that consisted 15 questions, and the questions are 5-point Likert scale questions where they need to rate whether they are agree or disagree with the questions that have been asked. So for this survey, we aim to collect the data from 30 Malaysian students, but we actually managed to collect the data from 15 Malaysian students. And to strengthen our facts, we also conducted an interview, and this is a qualitative research approach methods. So in this method, we interviewed 5 Malaysian students, and the interview were all recorded and filmed. And that is all from me. I'll be passing on to the next presenter.
All right, greetings to Miss Angela. The data analysis for this new research study. So our survey questionnaire consisted of 4 sections: the demographic data, the usage of Bahasa Melayu in English language-based classrooms, the challenges which the students experience by code switching English and Bahasa Melayu in the classrooms, and the last section is the perspective of students on the idea of code switching as a progression in their classroom development. So we have 16 questions in total, but I will highlight only 2 questions from each section, starting from section B, because the first section is just the demographic information of the respondents that participated in this research study, such as race, year of study, and also gender. So let's start with section B, which is the usage of Bahasa Melayu in English language-based classroom. So for the first question is how often do you use Bahasa Melayu in the classrooms? So based on the bar graph, we can see that the highest percentage, 32% of the respondents chose neutral usage of Bahasa Melayu in the classrooms. This means that most of them use both English and Bahasa Melayu equally, while the lowest percentage, which only 6% of the respondents indicated that they don't really use this language in the classrooms. So for the next question, I feel comfortable in using Bahasa Melayu in my conversation during classroom contexts. The findings showed that most of the respondents strongly agree that they feel comfortable in using this language in their conversation during classroom contexts, while only a few of them, 8 of the respondents were not really comfortable in using this language in their conversation. This may be because of their mother tongue that speaks other languages besides Malay. And moving on to section C. Moving on to section C. Next slide. Okay. The challenges which the students experience by code switching English and Bahasa Melayu in the classrooms. So for the first question, I have problems in learning the topic in English when the usage of Bahasa Melayu is applied in the classroom. The findings show that majority of the respondents are agree with it, which means that they kind of have problems learning the topics in English when the usage of Bahasa Melayu is applied in the classrooms. And next question, I feel using Bahasa Melayu in the classroom makes the context harder. So based on the bar graph, there is a balanced percentage with 26% for both neutral and disagree, which means 13 of the respondents don't feel that the usage of Bahasa Melayu in the classroom makes the context harder, while there are 13 respondents who feel neutral about it. Okay, for the last section, section D, there's perspective of students on the idea of code switching as a progression in their classroom development. So for the first question, the majority of the respondents agreed that their understanding towards certain topics has been increased by using Bahasa Melayu for the explanations, while only a few of them kind of disagreed with it. And finally, for the last question, in this data analysis, I prefer the lecturer to use Bahasa Melayu to explain or translate certain words in order for better understanding. Based on the findings, the majority of the respondents agree with it. This means that the respondents prefer the lecturer to translate certain words like for example, the bizarre words so that they can understand better. Meanwhile, there are also some of the respondents who kind of do not agree with it because maybe they're like more understanding or more comfortable in using English rather than Malay. And that is all for the data analysis. I'll be passing to the next presenter. Thank you.
Good evening, Miss. So today I'm going to present on conclusion, and my name is Amira Fakia binti Hasni. So for our research, it has shown us that code switching is well liked by Malaysian university students because it had been frequently used during classes. So this study had shown that lecturers that use this method to enhance the understanding, particularly when confronted with challenging and complex subjects. So code switching notably helps the students who are just not fluent in English, since it seems to help them to create their self-confidence and interest in learning. So for the next one, code switching generates a much more comprehensive and pleasant educational environment in the line with the educator's duties to guide each student regardless of their extra or special needs. So this research had also shows us that lecturers utilize code switchings to help their students understand it better, with include the students' first language when trying to explain specific terms that could be difficult to comprehend in English. And the last point is students could be more precise and clearer when explaining the key points. So even it may appear to some as a backward process, code switching is a great strategy to use in English second language, which is ESL, or English as foreign language, which is EFL, subjects, because it connects this same foreign and undefined vocabulary towards something common and popular to students, creating them to be more comfortable and driven to learn a new language, rather than just being swamped by the worry of close-minded peers who success in the subject and language anxiety. So that's all from me and my group. Thank you.